So, but let's turn this around. Let's start with the holster first. You think it's fair to say, like, you're pretty rough on stuff?
I am a kind of explorer of holsters.
you're sort of like a bull in a china shop, right?
Yes.
How many times have you dumped a gun? Not like a drop gun, but how many times have you dumped a gun off the clock out of your holster?
During full speed walkthroughs?
Yes, during full speed walkthroughs.
More than I can count on my hands, I think. Maybe not that many. I don't know. I can think of, I mean, it does happen.
Yeah. Well, and range. Well, your walkthroughs are notoriously aggressive, for lack of a better word. So yeah, I've seen Micah dump his gun probably more times than I can count on my hands. So, with that segue, tell me what you think about this, because it has one feature that is kind of unique among competition holsters that you see commonly in USPSA, and I understand that you made good use of this at the match. Yeah. So tell me about that.
That thing is incredible. It's everything you could want from a USPSA holster, because now, to be fair, and Brian laughed about this in one of our discussions, every time I went to make ready, I did the open guy wedgie thing. But as long as you're not on a unloaded start stage, you're just like one of those guys that's super proud about your 4-second make ready time. Yeah, it's gonna be a great holster. I think. So
I didn't squad with you last match, but you ran when you weren't shooting or at make ready, you ran this lock the whole time, right?
Yeah, it was. I'm not that used to it. I just we screwed it on my belt that morning.
Right.
But yeah,
just to show people how this works, when you rotate this lever upwards, it compresses that hockey puck basically inside the holster. And so it's pinching the trigger guard, it's pinching the gun, and that's the retention mechanism. So it's going nowhere.
And the other thing, I think that's a little bit softer rubber than is normally used on those Kydex holsters, because anybody that is familiar and probably watching this video, the thumb screws, I mean, I guess they're nice, but I run mine facing in towards my leg because I'll tear my thumb apart drawing. But also, I mean, you can tighten those things down, and that is the perfect in between, because when it was unlocked, it was just like I like to run it, where it comes out clean. It's not going to bind on there. And as soon as I felt it wiggling around whenever we were running around, I just flipped that up, and it was so secure.
Yeah.
Made me feel very safe.
I mean, you're exactly right. Like when it's unlocked, it's you want. So here's the contradiction about competition holsters. Like when you need access to the gun, it needs to be a bucket, a 5-gallon bucket for your gun that it sits in. You want it to come out just as cleanly as possible, just as fast as possible. But when you are not shooting, it doesn't need to go anywhere. Whether that's you just messing around, like fake drawing your gun, because I've seen guys DQ that way.
Yes.
Like they're just like doing, air draws, and they actually draw the gun. That's no good.
Kevin has a sixth sense about that.
Right. But that's the dream right there, right? So it's fast. We need it to be fast. And I mean, look, I'm holding the Boss holster, and it's not going anywhere.
Just wait till I get one of those. my full speed walkthroughs are going to another level.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's, and the double layer, I haven't ever messed with those, but the other peoples that I've played around with, they're usually like, they lose the adjustment, I feel like, out of them, and they're either like too tight or very
Right. Well, when I got this, what stood out to me immediately was the attention to detail, like because every edge is like perfectly chamfered and sand. I don't know what his process is. I imagine it's a belt sander. And when I say he, this is Leif Kunkel. He's the owner and guy behind GX Products Holsters. Nice guy. And that's what stood out to me is, one, the looks. I mean, look, the multicam orange combo. I just think that's just fantastic. But yeah, every surface is just perfect. Like the craftsmanship behind it, I was really impressed with.
So you think that one will hold up to tremendous amounts of dry fire?
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah. Well, when I look at this side by side to my Comptac holsters and the equivalents, the Blade Techs. I mean, you've had them all kinds of holsters. I've had them all. Everyone in the sport has had every different kind of holster, and there's really no comparison in the materials between, the double layer and just the single layer, or even like an injection molded plastic. There's just no comparison. So I have every expectation that this is going to last forever, as long as I care to use it, until I sell this Tampo. But yeah. Well, and the nice thing too is, if a lot of guys run the Boss, but this also accommodates all the other kind of the most common mounting patterns. So if you use like some oddball thing like a tech lock or something, that'll work too.
Yeah. The other cool thing about that is that when you flip up the lever, you're not going to draw the gun, or when you go to put your hand on the gun, you're going to feel that because it's flipped up. When it's flipped up, your trigger finger would hit that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Indication that it's locked, which I don't
Right.
know. You'd have to be like super dumb to lock it during make ready, but eventually.
Well,
yeah.
right. And I think it's a little bit different than, I like what you said about the open shooter wedgie, because I've seen that happen. It is a little different in that regard, because like unless you're a guy that doesn't touch the gun at make ready, which would be very strange. I've never seen anyone make ready without touching the gun.
Oh, I've seen it. These guys are proud.
Then, I mean,
to account for his long make ready, it's an unloaded start. You don't even have to do anything, and then that's where you get the open shooter wedgie.
Yeah, I guess. But you like you said, if you go to take your grip and make ready, or let's say you've already made ready and you're getting your last second grips on the gun, like you're gonna feel, you're right. I mean, it's right where your finger's gonna fall when you get that fake grip. So yeah, I'm really impressed. And even though I haven't used it in a match yet, you had it, so that's why I wanted to talk to you about that.
Yeah, it did not get in play. You had yours adjusted a little bit different than mine sits. I think it was angled back more. But yeah, I was just a little extra sure on getting my grip, and my holsters, I don't know. I've got them tightened all the way down, but there's a lot of wiggle room in there. So I don't know.
Well, that's the thing about the thumb screw retention adjustment, is that eventually, like, they've reached, like, their retention lifespan is exhausted. You know what I mean? Like, you will run those screws down as much as you can, and you won't stop removal of the gun from the holster anymore.
Right.
Eventually you get to that point because it's just friction when it's just like a passive retention thing instead of an active retention lever like this. Eventually.
This gives you the best of both worlds, because if you do get it to where it's going to retain the gun good, it's gonna mess your draw up. I think.
Yeah. So I agree. Like I said, I just wanted to get your take because you'd use it in a match, on the clock where I haven't. So, but yeah, sounds like you and I agree. 2 thumbs up.
Oh yeah, I figured that once the Tamfo got into my hands, but I was like, I don't know, this is gonna be weird, new holster, but it was good.
Yeah. All right.